some real talk. Oh, I need some real talk. Give me some of that real talk.
Today's Real Talk, the show focused on North Carolina real estate. Justin Ckezepis, Claudia Ogrizek of Compass Real Estate, joined by special guest, new show host here at WSIC and across the network, and Brad Roche. So you're not new here though. This is why it makes it a little weird.
Welcome back, new weird, right?
Yeah,
yeah. And now I'm just guesting it. This is cool to be on. You guys been rolling for a bit, and I'm back, and you never really knew I was there. You didn't.
No, I did not.
Right, so
no,
I'm new to you.
I just met you. Yeah.
Right, so it's good though. We're gonna get along great because it's real estate talk.
Yes.
I was wondering about the intro though for a minute, and then you dropped the beat. I was
confused.
Right, yeah, it threw me off. So I'm in.
Much like I do to Claudia every single week. It's pretty much she just comes in and whatever we're going to talk about real estate, and what's happening in the active market, and what's there. And I think your perspective on mortgages will be cool. And so you guys being able to cross over and kind of play together, right, in some of this sense is going to be a really fun and exciting experiment. And Claudia has to deal with me every single week. So, hey, how you doing? What's going on in the market? What are you doing today?
The same craziness as usual. To be honest, today, the thing that's in my mind that is not related to mortgage, but it's something I want to talk in the future. But to be honest, right now, it's not exciting. I am dealing with the passing of a seller and the whole craziness that has to happen in terms of, yes.
In the middle of a deal?
Yes.
Oh.
We were supposed to close a week from now, and it's not going to happen. So I'm now trying to figure out with the buyer agent, I have it's my listing, trying to figure out how to do it. And it made me think, and we are already working on a guest, trust, will, executor, everything you need to do to be ready. So this kind of thing. So it's been not the most fun, but it's part of the job.
That's sad to hear.
Yes.
And
it is
difficult. Everybody involved.
For everyone involved,
yeah.
yes.
So if they don't have a trust set up, right, you're going through a little bit of nightmare on trying to do anything.
Mm-hmm. So not only the paperwork, but the feelings of everyone involved. So
which is
not
yeah, that's a lot extra too. Mm-hmm. Right. So if they did have a trust, just for someone listening, because I encourage that when you get a mortgage, it's like, why wouldn't you have that protected, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know what process it would look like if they did for you?
If they had the trust?
Yeah, like wouldn't it be a lot easier? I don't know the exact answer.
It would
it's gotta be.
Yes, it would be a lot easier for sure. But then we can ask the attorney.
Yeah, you should step in. That's a good question.
Now it's your turn.
It can be easier depending on the level of the trust. You can make a trust yourself at home sitting at your kitchen table. There's nothing that says you can't. I'm not. I know you shouldn't. You should not. I'm not encouraging anybody to, but you can. And so when you get to the process of buying, selling, and then an estate happens, or you walk into an estate scenario and you as the broker are brought in by the estate or an attorney's office or whomever, an heir, the scenarios are unlimited. So you have to go into it with the mindset of who's the right person in the equation, right? Because that's what the transaction's all about. It's an equation and who's doing what in what part of the process. But when you don't have a trust, you have to go through a much lengthier process most of the time.
That deal is going to fall apart.
That's it.
No, I'm being serious.
The due diligence is good, and everything else that's
hard.
involved.
Are you talking about mine?
Yeah,
I know.
Your deal will fall apart because it's not in place. I guess what I'm getting at, if it was, could that deal have stayed together? Timing-wise.
It makes a better chance. It's got a better fighting chance. Absolutely. Because it's an automatic, right? In North Carolina, when the moment someone passes, the property passes right at that point. It's the moment you pass.
Okay, so it could actually continue if the family emotionally could deal with all of
within
that
a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, that it doesn't kill a deal to the sense of, and also the thing with the trust, it's not so much like just having a trust or not, but if you go through the process of making a trust, right, there's usually multiple people who are involved and understand. And so there's more help almost in those scenarios. Right? There's a plan. If you don't have a plan whenever you do that kind of thing, or that you don't really plan to do it, right? But you need to have the conversation at some point, and it's awkward. It's hard.
Yeah, but when's the point you get a trust in place, right?
Oh, I have it already.
So do I. But when do you say, hey, here's why I'm asking. Do a lot of loans, been doing them for years. Half the clients, I'd say over half, we've tracked it, don't have a will and trust in place.
The will is different. I would say definitely will is different.
But
trust.
That's like toilet paper to a trust, correct? The will, at least you got something.
Yes.
Right. They don't have that even.
There are certain things though, like as far as real estate, if it's just you and your spouse, for example, right, you can, as simply as what it reads on the deed is enough to accomplish with having to do nothing else the moment that passes. That marital protection in North Carolina, right, tenancy by the entirety, is one of the most coveted protections that we have, and it's even in our laws. And so if you are title deeded on a property with a spouse and it's acknowledged on that instrument that you are spouses of each other.
Well, stay in your deal. Married, not married, the one who passed?
Well, unfortunately, they were married, but they got married after the fact. So she's
after
not
the fact of the purchase of the house.
So she's not on the deed. So she
Man,
can't.
what a mess.
I know.
It goes layer. There's a lot of layers there.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of emotion involved already in a
everything.
stressful transaction.
Oh, I was like, please let me figure it out without having to call her and ask questions, because it's the last thing I want to do, knowing what she's going through, to have to call and say, hey, do you have a trust? There's no trust. She's on the will, but then everything. So right now, this morning, they said between 8 to 12 weeks to kind of see what's going to happen. And I'm 99.9 sure the buyer will walk away. And then,
especially if they're going to occupy the property, they're ready to go. Excited. I'm getting a new puppy, and I can't wait for him to get here.
Yes.
Buying a new house is exciting.
Closing, 8 to 12 weeks on your puppy.
Closing on the 28th. So a week from now, he was taking possession.
You got the other side of the deal excited, right?
3 months.
Totally different emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then people get deeper into it, right? Then hate can start happening and things like that. And when you're a week out, a week out is tight on the timeline. So you got to walk that line and make sure everybody.
Yeah, but you got to have a little grace, man.
Oh, you
passed
have to.
away.
Yeah, no, I get that.
A week or two.
And in our case,
8 weeks, I get that.
Buyer agent has been very understanding. The buyer has been very understanding. But now we're talking about possibly 3 months.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's too long.
And the buyer is selling his house. I think he did yesterday. So there was a vacation planned. So basically, when he comes back home, he's going to be homeless. And then...
Where's he going on vacation?
I don't know.
Need to stay longer.
I know, but then 3 months...
Yeah, I'm just trying to come with solutions here. I'm a deal maker.
Yes.
Stay a little longer, my man. It's probably in your best interest.
They've been great. They're very understanding, nice, trying to navigate the whole thing. We had been talking about maybe buyer possession.
Sure.
But then
there's
3 months.
There's lease options.
But then 3 months.
This is where an attorney comes into play, but I don't feel like going through a lease option.
No. Yeah. So we hopefully we will figure things out and make it happen. We'll see.
But it shows you the dynamic of the marketplace too, right? Like anything can happen, and where we've got the lowest supply, arguably ever. Is that where we're at this point? Is there another time frame where supply was comparatively in the marketplace lower?
Not that I'm aware of.
This is the kind of circumstance, though, that you need a professional in the deal, right? Imagine selling your house on your own, or the family was helping them do it. At least you can help navigate to get it back to the market where it needed to go, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Easier.
Deep dive for this week. Okay.
You didn't expect that kind of answer today.
Sheesh. I have made ladies cry on this show before, unfortunately, Brad, and I hope that doesn't ever happen to you.
Drop that beat.
Today's Real Talk, the show focused on North Carolina real estate. Justin Ckezepis, Claudia Ogrizek, Compass Real Estate, joined by special guest cohort in the thing that is real estate. Does real estate matter, do you find, to the clients you guys talk to? Because I don't really talk to clients anymore right now that I got out of the legal side, and I don't have a firm.
We're in the real estate business. Does real estate matter when yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna say it matters when they talk to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a trick question, but they do.
Do you mean if we have dreams about real estate, nightmares about real estate, if we breathe real estate? I would say so.
Okay. Is everyone else still breathing real estate like it's 2021?
No. Appetite's different, right? You're still watching it, though. People still on the app, still watching prices, checking their own house. Yeah, buddy. Everybody's looking at their own value.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're looking at it at a different way, maybe. We were talking off the air, like being at 3%, half the planet's there. Yeah. Well, for you to move, now it costs money, but so much equity sitting there. But I'm at 3%, right? So when does the shift come, right?
It's interesting. Since yesterday, I've had many clients text me a listing that changed prices because the agent made a mistake and put 63,000 instead of 630, and actually by coincidence in my neighborhood. And I looked at the listing and I said, well, I hope it sells for 630 because my house is way better, renovated, nicer. But yeah, I'm
That's
like, go for it
doing.
because I'm sitting on if
people are watching that.
They're watching, and I am one of the lucky ones that pays, I think, 2.75 interest rate. I am holding on to it, and most sellers that are in my situation are doing it the same way. And this is one of the reasons why we don't have inventory. People don't want to let go of a super low interest rate.
Well, and you're in Huntersville right now. Where are you at?
Davidson.
So two markets, arguably, that it's hard to now significant jump to move up, right? In these, as compared to before when you'd have people change a life circumstance going from a smaller first-time home.
If she wanted to move up,
yeah.
You would go to a smaller home, a higher price, and a higher payment because of rates. You would be like, it's like a oxymoron downsize. I don't even know how to describe that. Right. There's no sense in
downsize, right. Pay more for it. It makes no sense, yes.
But the question really is about the price, because you can always refinance in the future. And so rates, this conversation about, well, rates are going to come down, rates are going to come down, rates are going to come down. Probably hovering somewhere in the 7-ish range-ish right now. That's a broad term, but you guys get it. 5.5. If we, that's my thought of where we land at in this equation. That's the bet. If you could go to DraftKings right now, you don't even have to VPN anymore. You know what I mean? It's
I would take that one.
Okay,
yeah,
so 5.5.
That's what I've been telling my client. I do believe that we're going to go.
And this is not advice. This is not.
No. But I do believe it's going to be.
This is called gambling.
Yes,
right here,
I agree. I think it's going to be 5.5. That will be our normal once everything settles.
Okay, so do you believe then when 5.5 hits, and I want to hear both of your perspectives on this, the floodgates open, buyers are there, sales prices skyrocket, on fire, un fuego, we're back?
I can easily tolerate a little of going from 3 to 5, 5.5, 6. I can tolerate that. It's the 7, 8 I can't tolerate. Too big. We swung up too big, too fast, right? So now that we've been there for a minute, we get to that 5.5. Yeah, for me to get out of a 3.5, if I want to free up a bunch of equity, didn't get a HELOC, home equity line, then yeah, I start to go.
Yeah, I think once it hits 5.5, maybe 6, buyers that are waiting will flood the market, and then sellers like myself that could move and won't move because it makes no sense to move to a smaller house and pay. But then it becomes a thing like, oh, okay, I don't need this house anymore, or I want to move to Davidson. Why not? It's going to be a little higher, but it makes sense. So we're going to have people from both sides hitting the market. And yes, we still do have multiple offers, but I think it's going to be crazy bidding war insanity.
But you who may not have been thinking about moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there isn't crap to move to. Right? So you're not out looking like that. You're looking more maybe fix up my house. When more houses pop up, you already watching Zillow, Realtor.com's the average person is anyway, right? What house came up, what it's listed at. Well, now I didn't know that one came up. It's a little bit nicer. Now you're window shopping a little heavier, and you are willing to give up a 3 if they're at that 5.5. There's more inventory to choose from. More candy in the candy store.
Even my husband watches Zillow all the time, and I'm like, really? Like, you're married? But he's like, just in case, he's watching Zillow.
Okay, so for the new construction queen then,
yes.
right? Who
I am.
Self-proclaimed.
I am I call myself. I do sell tons of new construction.
This 2-1 buy down thing, right, is all the rage and all the conversation right now. Brad, break it down for us. What does this 2-1 buy down mean? What's the actual math? Like, you hear the cool marketing. Loan. It's a cool loan, right? So there's a lot of different rules to it depending what lender you go to. So the one thing I got to circle back, because a lot of clients right now, they'll call in and you say, we're at 7.5. Oh, what can I pay to get the rate lower? And they want to put a bunch of money into it, a point and a half, and try and get 6.5, get that rate down.
That money disappears day of closing. We have a 5-year deal. Come back and refinance. All you got to pay is like $1,000 over the next 5 years. That's a big part of the equation, right? So when they're looking at the temporary buy down, that's the difference in what I'm talking about. I wouldn't do a bunch of points up front. You're never going to get back, and we're probably going to refinance. The temporary buy down, hang on now. I'm gonna get you. We're at 7.5. You're gonna start at 5.5. Then you go to 6.5 the next year. Then 7.5, and we're gonna park it there, still fixed. Oh, what if I get out? I'm going to give you that money. The temporary money that's sitting is basically sitting like, if you're familiar with escrow accounts, right? I know someone listening may not be, for taxes and insurance, they're just holding the money for it. So it's like subsidizing the payment for the first couple of years, makes it easy for you to get in. Now, where's the gain? You got a cool payment, but wow, you just caught appreciation. And you know the new houses they're popping next door, the next 10 in the neighborhood that they're putting up are getting increased prices as well. So you've kind of, it's the best of both. You got 5.5, and if you don't, you're covered.
I'm going to say it's crazy, and I wish we had rehearsed this whole conversation, because right now, I am a big fan right now, especially when you have builders or sellers offering money for closing costs. I'm telling everyone, get a 2-1 buy down, because the money stays in escrow, and if you're ready to refi sooner, then you get it back and you can apply again. I hate the buy down 30 years right now, because you're going to waste your money. And I'm a huge fan of a 2-1, especially for first-time buyers. So I'm not a financial advisor, but off the record, I'm telling people, go for the 2-1, because again, you can use the money you didn't use within the first 2 years to refi. And you also become, especially first-time buyers, I love working with first-time buyers. You learn how to be a homeowner in the beginning with a lower mortgage payment, which doesn't happen if you buy, if you're paying the high interest rates right now. So use the market, use what you can to benefit and save some money or not spend as much.
So the 2-1 is a product, right? We talk about that having a professional through the process, right? That's the whole mantra here across the board, is we want to make sure everybody's connected to the right vendors and relationships in the marketplace. But that being one product, the first time home buyers market, right? So when we bought our first house, my wife and I, in 2012, it was Oakhurst and Cornelius. It was a townhouse we did 118 was the number we went in at on it. And it was a great time. But that market doesn't exist here the same anymore. And so when you compare the incomes, Brad, what are you seeing from the price point averaging people are trying to get qualified at least based on it's
just harder.
Yeah.
They all are different. Some are trying to qualify for $1.5 million, $2 million. Some are trying to qualify for 300. It's all harder. All harder. Like I was running one. We have a deal that I'm working on, and it's a 2 million. I don't do those all the time. This is a big deal, right? But the ratios, when you go from 7.5, right, on a jumbo loan like that, to 5.5, oh man, that the qualifying capacity on the payment of that is enormous. So just downsize it, 300 grand, 400 grand. It's a big hit to get qualified. But that's when these programs like a buy down come out to ease the pain. That's what it is. Like, think about, like, when I started, I've been doing this 30 years. That came out, I grew up on it. I think this is cool. Why wouldn't you do it? Even though back then they didn't refund it if you cashed out early. Meaning, right, that wasn't a thing then. They kept it. The lender would keep it. Now that they've offered it, you can get it refunded to you. They also rolled out with a lender paid. So let's say you're not getting a bunch of seller concessions, but we still need to lighten it up. We can do 1.0 buy down, and you don't touch it as the buyer. We cover it as a lender. Pretty slick. So instead of 7.5, I'm going to give you 6.5. Any house you pick.
Do you think most buyers know about these? Like you talk about it too. They don't. They just think what FHA, VA, conventional with however much percentage down. Right. The average buyer who's looking to enter into the marketplace. Right. The one who finally says, "Hey, it's time to take the step." That's what Claudia talks about is living the dream.
Yes.
The American dream.
But you are saying the average buyer knows FHA convention. They don't. I think most people
You don't even think they know those products, right?
I don't think so. And I do think that most people still think that you need 20% down. So most people are not aware of many options they have. Not only kinds of loans, but credit score that you need, down payment that you need, and everything else that you could find out and use with a broker that can show you, and a good broker that can show you all options to see the best one for you.
And here's a bad broker. It's all based on payment, meaning the lenders, oh, how's this payment? How's this payment? And they're not covering the loan. Oh, it works. You might be getting the worst loan, but the payment works, and you're not even going to earn some of the money back you overspend, whether it's points. That, to me, can be a real mess if you don't get options. And they just give you the payment.
It drives me insane because many times, especially when my buyers decide to shop around and they look at a certain number without being able to analyze everything, and they are being tricked because they think it's awesome, but when you break it down, I think they're being scammed. Yes, they are overpaying, but they think it's a good deal for them, which is it's how I feel about being ethical and doing the right thing. So many brokers do not help buyers.
She talked about ethics last week.
I go crazy.
Got deep on ethics. Today's Real Talk, the show focused on North Carolina real estate. Justin Ckezepis, Claudia Ogrizek of Compass, joined by do you have expert, can you say expert in mortgages? I don't know the licensing. We haven't even gotten into the licensing stuff and all that.
That's approved for me. Go ahead.
Okay, so expert Brad Roche.
Take it.
And then also expert Claudia Ogrizek of the experience of buying and selling and transacting in real estate and living and building communities. And that's an important thing to do. But part of what you've got to do is you've got to maintain your abode, your dwelling. You must do it.
You must do it.
And so Maintenance Monday, Claudia, what is it that people should be focused on right now?
Right now, today, I want to talk about leaks and taking care of them as soon as they happen. So every now and then, open your cabinets, see if the shelves are dry, make sure there's no running water under the toilet, simple things, dripping faucets. And if you see something, do something about it. Don't be like me.
See something, do something.
Now, right now, I'm going to be honest. I do have a tiny, tiny little leak in my kitchen. It's like 1 drop a week, and I'm going to call a plumber because I know it's nothing now, but I don't know if it's just something that needs to be tightened. But you have to remember that water is the second worst enemy of a house. Fire is the first one, of course. But water can become a nightmare if you don't pay attention to it.
But not for Claudia, though. 1 drop a week, that's pretty impressive if you're catching that. She's meticulous in this part. But okay, so you had the leak. You fixed the leak yourself?
No, not yet. I just found out a few days ago. So right now I have a tray, so that's why I know it's barely nothing happening. But I have to call a plumber and see what's going on. Because I try to figure out, because, you can, with a little effort, you can find stuff and maybe even fix it. But I cannot, so I'll get a professional.
Coming in with wrenches in the kitchen. Honey, I got this one. That's what happens.
It's going to kill me if it's something super silly that I'm missing, but it is what it is.
Better safe than sorry.
Yes, always.
You're saying the number one, what'd you call them, number 1 and 2 nightmares? That when he went boom.
The enemy of a house.
Enemy of a house.
Yes.
Enemy of a house. Well, you think of it's the expense. If that leak turns into something more, you're out of the house. It starts going, and now your whole kitchen's done. Mm-hmm. What kind of floor you got? Wood, tile? What are we ripping up and having to put back down? Mm-hmm. And then go downstairs further. Yeah, not good.
Claudia's a fan of slabs too. She doesn't like crawl spaces
because they're easy to. They don't. I think they are less problematic.
My neighbor across the street had plumbing leaks and clogs and things like that. And
how'd you know?
Because she's on a slab, and so her floor had to get jacked up.
Why?
It's happened. I mean, it's happened before in the slab. That's why I go for the crawl spaces, access to the utilities. I'm just saying, it's a thing.
I'm super curious to know what was happening in her.
Wow, you're making me. I should have done this
now. Now it's too late. What was she?
Life.
Were they flushing weird stuff?
No, it's more of a neighborhood thing. So a neighborhood that I live in particular was one that was built early 2000s.
Okay.
And the builder came into some financial troubles through the process. And so there were certain things in the neighborhood. It's a very small neighborhood. And so there's just the way things are all connected in there. And we've found over the years. because I've been in the same place.
If you need to sell your house, I'm ready to.
No, your boy ain't moving. Where am I going to go? I got nowhere else to go.
Hey,
that's the
new
thing.
construction. I am the new construction queen. I'll find you one. Give me the budget and I'll find one.
I'm okay with what I have, knowing what is here and what's coming. I mean, that's the other thing is
that 3% rate. Too,
I don't even worry about the rate because I like to play in real estate, so it's just different too when you want to do that. And there is, when you start investing and you leverage and things like that, there's fun things you can do, and it's not like a bad thing as long as you do it the way the game is designed.
Yes.
And there is a game even to a buyer buying a house, right, in a process and knowing how it works. You need those professionals that help you do that.
And something else about buying and playing, as long as you're safe and you're not playing with your basic money that you need to pay. But I'm telling my buyers the same thing, especially first-time buyers that want to wait. I'm like, I'm looking for houses, and because I have a goal of buying one house a year as an investment. And I'm like, I just did, and I'll do it again when I see something. And do I like paying 7.5%? No. But do I think if you know what you're doing, if you have a professional helping you find the right house and a professional helping you with the right mortgage, it's doable. And I'm still doing it at 7.5%. And I still think it's a great business and a great thing to do with my money.
We get a lot of people calling in for investments now, and I want a cash flow. I want a cash flow. Who doesn't? That's my first response. No, and really, hey, I got one. That was cool. But who doesn't want to do that, right? You want a cash flow. I get it. But some of the clients that will call in are making a good earning, don't have a side hustle, a lot of tax benefits that haven't even come up to light besides what property they're finding that they need this cash flow on. Some of them, that's not the main cup of tea. Why would you buy it and lose $200 a month? Maybe $3. Because I'm going up 6-7%, it's going to get competitive at 5.5%, and I can adjust that down. There's easy moves if you're paying attention.
Well,
it's not like a 401k.
That's what I do,
right?
actually. This is exactly what I do. Cash flow, awesome if I can get it, but that's not my goal. My goal is long term. So even if I'm breaking even, and there was one of the houses that I was actually losing like $100 a month, and now after 4 years, I'm making a lot. And it's fine.
Cash flow wise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I didn't start it.
Yes, usually the houses you're losing money on monthly. Usually the houses or rental properties are usually higher value, which means you're gaining what? More appreciation on the property. So is it worth writing a couple $100 for a couple grand gain you know what I'm saying? That's the big difference.
Preach.
Yeah, right.
This is what I tell people all the time.
So I think I don't know how I know how Claudia feels about this, Brad. I don't know how you feel about this yet. The concept of, can the sales prices go down here? In theory, they can. In some way, shape, or form, in some universe, they can. But based supply and demand, the basic principles of an economy right now, short of something global, right, something major, super affecting trajectory, even call it 10 years for, we'll say North Carolina as a whole right now, right? We can say North Carolina as a whole based on the whole scheme of things. Do you foresee prices going down in some way and the supply catching up enough to curb the demand and bring those prices down?
Well, when you say go down, right, I'm going to say it this way.
He's getting technical.
No,
now he's going to do it. Okay.
I am.
Right.
Because are we talking like if I'm worth $1 million house now, it's now down to 900, or it just didn't go up this next year? Like meaning it stayed at $1 million.
Let's say you buy something today, 10 years from now, we're going long bet because it doesn't even matter, right? Who knows when we're going to be here in 10 years. So 10 years from now.
Will it be up? Of course, right? That's history. You could go history. Go look at 300 years. What I'm getting at, though, is you have to look at when you take that long-term approach with any real estate, 10 years, 20 years, yeah, you're going to make a huge gain. Of course. Short term, well, that's where you start to get competitive rates, and it's hard to say, hey, is there a COVID thing coming again or anything like that? That's hard prediction, but real estate's always done well. 2008 was the roughest spot, but a lot of people made purchases and made a lot of money that were waiting in the wings. Are we in the wings right now would be a question for good purchases. A lot of investors buying, right?
And again, it's like stock market. In the long term, you will make money. Just hold on to it. The only thing you have to be prepared, like investing in real estate, not to get scared. If it happens, I don't see it happening, but if it happens that prices go down a little, just hold on to it because they will come up. So in the long term, they will always come up. You will always make money.
And don't
Always.
be a dummy on it. Pay attention to it. Like if you can drop the rate, do it. Like some people don't even know you can refinance a car. If your rate stinks, you can lower your car payment. That's your whole business, right? Car payments, house payments, rentals. We go on and on. It's managing it. Pay attention to it.
Today's Real Talk, the show focused on North Carolina real estate. Justin Ckezepis, Claudia Ogrizek of Compass Real Estate, joined by Brad Roche, talking all things that matter in a day-to-day life. Do people obsess about real estate as much as you two probably do in your day-to-day? Do you think the masses do?
I don't think so at all. They obsess about looking at Zillow for fun, but do I think they think about it or plan or try to really understand that they could possibly buy a house that they're looking at? I don't think so.
It's a dream, basically? Is that what you're trying to plant into their...
I do think it's the American dream or anyone's dream to have a house. I remember in Brazil, which is not like the American dream kind of mentality, but I remember thinking, I always thought there was something in me when I never imagined I would become a realtor, that I thought my main focus is to buy a house, to have something for me when I age, my daughter, if something happens to me. Everything else is not as important as owning my own house. Because if something happens, I have a place to live. And I think people should really think about it. I see too often people that drive cars they shouldn't be driving, carrying purses that they shouldn't be carrying. They focus too much on showing people. There's a saying, I forgot, but people spend too much time showing, an image to others. They're not. But then the house. So I really think that the house should be, and it doesn't have to be large. It doesn't have to be fancy, but own your own house. Have that safety of owning your house should be everyone's. I do believe it should be everyone's number one thing.
Okay. So for those who are in the game right now, trying to find that place, the different areas around the lake, Charlotte, all over around, what you like, Harrisburg? Is that what you said last?
No, I have my clients that want to go to Harrisburg.
And so where are you then really liking you? Oh, I remember now. Belmont. Your Belmont is Claudia's favorite right now.
I love it.
Still Belmont, or has that changed?
No, not at all. I think if you can do it, I wish I had bought in Belmont pre-COVID, but I still think it's nice. It's not as affordable as it used to be, but I think it's a great little cute town. We were talking about the lake. I think I'm in Huntersville. You are in Davidson. You're in Mooresville. Cornelius. Okay. So we are in an area that is already very high. So I don't see that it will appraise as fast because we are in a very expensive area. But Belmont has potential to grow. So you can make more money and live in a nice place. And then if you don't have that money, I am a fan of Gastonia, Kannapolis, Salisbury. And you have cherry wine in Salisbury if you're thirsty.
Those are all great spots.
Yeah,
they are
phenomenal spots.
Yeah, they are good spots.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brad? What are you
all of
seeing?
where she mentioned? I take the motorcycle out, and I like Salisbury. I love the developments that are going on out there, and it's what you're doing now, right? If you're renting or not in a spot to buy, you can do 0 down loans. Does it make sense payment wise to get there? You can find a house in so many of these different spots. It's funny, like we'll have 30, 40 people looking for a house and can't find one. My son, both of them, it didn't take them very long, and it isn't a much different market. I think you have to go find something that's suitable. Might not be the dream, but are we upgrading later, right? Or making it a rental?
Oh my God, do you follow me on Instagram? Are you saying everything I say?
But those areas you're mentioning, it's like, man, it may not be long term, but hey, a couple years from now, Pop, we got a little money going now. Now we're not looking for 0 down. We can get you rolling.
That's what I tell everybody. Can you see yourself living here and making the effort? Yeah, driving a little farther for 2 years. Do it. Do it now, and then you start moving closer to the dream house. But start now. Make the effort. It's the same thing, everything in life. You get a job. You don't start as the VP of a company. You start and you grow. Same thing with the house. You start with a smaller house and you grow over time. So every time I have this conversation with my client, you don't have to find the perfect house right away. Find a house that works for you. If you see yourself for 2 years, with the money you're going to make, you put down on the next one and the next one and the next one.
Well, and I'm also wondering, is there an equation from a product perspective and loan perspective for somebody to enter for the first time of buying a house to always have the mindset that you'll never sell and that you can always just continue to add to the portfolio? Is there a way to do that and accomplish that for somebody who's looking at buying for the first time even?
I would do it if my husband was. I'm not doing this because he doesn't like moving that much, but I would do it, and I think it's a genius move. And I do have clients that are doing that.
I remember starting out my first 5 houses where I lived in it, moved up. And any product that I could take advantage of, I always kept them as rentals. But if there's a product where you can go 3.5% down, get the next one 3% down, 5% down, you also need to be saving money while you're doing it, right? That's a part of it. You're building the portfolio. But it's interesting, like if you got $200,000 that you purchased, that's $200,000 going at 7%, 6%. Even like I was saying, hey, is it going up or staying flat? It's going to go something, and that's a lot of money going up something. You see what I'm saying? Versus an average savings account, first-time home buyer, 22 years old, they got $10,000 in the bank. That's doing a good job. Well, that makes it really hard to go grab an extra 20, 30 grand, but that's appreciation right there, right? If you can get it, and you can.
And I just thought of something I watched. I think it was Glenda Baker, who's a realtor in Atlanta, big shot, TikTok, and she was on a podcast. Yes, okay. I'm not. I have it, but I don't TikTok, go. Yes, all right. No, but she is a very she is a.
I'm on TikTok.
Very. I am, but I. Successful
it's funny, you're both
agent.
On TikTok? I'm not on TikTok.
I'm not. I have it.
They're going to shut it down anyway.
Yes, no.
Don't matter. You get on, you're going to have to get off.
I have it. If you're talking to me, it's not me. I have it, but I don't use it. But anyway, she was talking about kids, for instance. Instead of paying a $529, buy a small house, rent it, and let the house appreciate over the years. Most people
18 years, right?
And when your child is ready for college, then you have all that money sitting, and then they can make a decision, take a home equity line to pay for college, sell the house. And so much better to have a house for your child than to pay a $529.
Oh, you're assuming that everybody's got the stomach to manage a house for 18 years. So, that process of property management,
I think that's
a grind.
No, I think some people can do it. Some people maybe don't have the tolerance for it, but that isn't that big a deal. Like when you get 10 or 20, I'm with you, man. And if you got houses in the ghetto, you got to go, hey, where's my money? Huh. Hey, I had houses like that. Where's my money? That's harder. If you got a nice property, which is what we're talking about, and I'm not overspending, but houses you're building up, you want the house to appreciate more. The more you can buy, the better appreciation you get, the more you're moving up. You're going to have better quality tenants if you focus, am I going to live there? You don't want to buy. I had student rentals, right? Student ghetto rentals where they'd be around the college. That you're going to have to go in and fix them up every 9 months, but they're empty for 3 and they still pay. Each deal's got its own difference. But I think it's important that you look at all the moves on your purchase.
Are you seeing any investment deals from anybody, because you work with investors too, that are utilizing property management companies, or are most of them at this point individually managed for the buyers?
My clients, I think they all manage. I think it's crazy. I don't. I pay. I don't want to worry about it. She calls me only when it's needed. I let her do her thing. It's the same thing. Can you write your own trust alone? Yes. No. I pay an attorney to do it. Can you sell your house by yourself? Yes, but let the professional do it. Can you manage a house? I don't want to deal with anything, so I pay someone, and it's like 10% or for me not to have to worry about it. I just see the money coming to my account, and I'm happy with it.
The only one with any power in the equation is the financial guys, because they are the ones who say, sorry, you're not approved. They're the ones who can say no to people. So,
but going back to mortgage and all the options, going back to the fact that I do believe most people do not know that they can buy a house not paying 20% down. And then when you do that, you pay PMI. There's a strategy to let go of PMI after a while, right?
And some loans you can get now, depending on your credit score, don't even have them to start. So there's so many products out right now that you don't need 20% down. You'd almost be silly to do it because they're giving benefits to the first-time buyer, even second time. And they qualify you for 3 years. You don't have to own a house in 3 years. You're still a first-time buyer with us. So
This is something else many people don't know. They're like, oh, I had a house. I'm like, you can qualify for a first-time buyer after 3 years, and people don't know that.
It's interesting on the investment property. Like you're in real estate, I would picture you managing it. Like, why wouldn't you, right? And see, you value your time different of where you're going to do stuff. I don't want to mow my lawn, right? You're valuing your time. That's what, is it hard when you're getting started? You could manage that. You're going to save 8-10%. That may help build the nest egg, but you have to look where you're spending your time versus money on this stuff too.
I think my time is better spent with clients than managing. So I do pay the 10%. So my time is free to do what I do.
You also
well.
know your goal,
Yes.
which wasn't the cash flow, and the 10% is better worth your time, and you're making your appreciation, still getting where you wanted to go. Yeah.
But again, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot of information. So hire a realtor, talk to a mortgage broker, then we'll sit down with you and teach you and help you and educate you and get rich over time.
It's an easy strat. That sounds so easy.
You need to put a disclaimer somewhere on that.
I'm kidding.
Just saying. Now, he was looking for them. That's one of them right
I
there.
know.
I know.
See?
But you know what? There's a lot of deals you would go wrong on real estate if you're holding it. You got to take care of the property. Watch for the little leaks.
It's really about a self-belief in like the process and the vision, right? That's really what it is. Real estate's in that sense that you believe that later on and what's historically shown and the concept of everyday life, right? Like housing is such a deep, it's more about housing security, right? It's what you're getting to, Claudia, and the whole sense of ownership. And we will say this is Memorial Day, so we want to say thank you to all of those who have given, obviously, the ultimate sacrifice. Claudia, 10 years ago, coming to America, 7 years, been a citizen here in the U.S., and thanks for coming. Am I allowed to say that to you? And thanks to everybody else. And Brad, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's very fun. Because, Brad, your show, For the Plan, airs...
It's coming.
It's coming. Here we go. That's it. So Brad is also there on the weekends too for now and all on demand. And as this show is always on demand as well, a lot more to do together in the future. So appreciate y'all.